folks, welcome to 2025 COPA SUR. If you are just joining us now for the English language transmission of this year's event, you are joining us at a wonderful time. We are starting off the transmission today with a street dance performance. Lucas, what do you think about what we're seeing here for the first moment?
And people are just watching this, they're not listening to it, and that's because we have some music that would be copyright claimed on the YouTube stream. And if you've posted any videos on YouTube, you know it could be a 3-hour video, but if you use 3 seconds of a song, you miss out on all that monetization. So that's why you can't hear what's going on, but I guarantee you that the arena is vibing.
And it's awesome to see these kids just getting down with it on the competition floor right now as we are waiting to get started with the individual elite athletes this afternoon. And we're seeing some pretty awesome breakdancing moves on the floor here. I don't know about you, but I don't think I could do that.
I mean, I could probably do them once and then never again. We are listening right now to Boom Boom Boom, I think, right? Is
yes.
that what it's called?
We are.
I left Shazam at home.
We're getting started with the Black Eyed Peas here, but they're definitely going all out, and you can see the crowd is definitely getting excited with their very enthusiastic presentation.
And we have different ages on the floor there, which is really interesting. I mean, that's how you start. That's how you become BTS in the future.
That is exactly how you become BTS in the future, precisely.
You just got to do this about 12 hours a day.
For a few years.
For a few years.
And they are getting cheered on by the crowd. It is awesome to be watching this from up here in the broadcasting booth.
I would venture to guess that half of these performers would eventually become actual street dancers in the future, and then the other half would just be CrossFit elite athletes.
That would be very awesome. I would love to see them be like, I was there in 2025 when they were presenting for the first time on the CrossFit COPA SUR 2025 arena. And what's great about this weekend specifically in this year's edition of COPA SUR is that we not only have a street dance performance, but throughout the weekend we have a lot of different events that are non-related to CrossFit, but are excellent community events and community performances that we're going to have, including capoeira, including a samba school on Sunday. So we're seeing the community get very much involved at this year's event.
As always, community being one of the core pillars of CrossFit. And so, of course, that would be one of the essential focuses of the COPA SURs. I say that in the plural, because each year we do have something new.
And this year, even though we are not transmitting live with our broadcast, the teams, because the teams have actually already had their qualifying process, we are transmitting all of the elite individuals. And today we start off with a very interesting event that is very similar to last year's event with a 30-minute time cap. So these are very long workouts for day number 1. Although, from what we are seeing up here in the booth with these street dancers, I think they could spend 30 minutes easily dancing every single day.
Well, as a fan of the music that I'm hearing, I can't really identify that. I know this song, Kelly.
But can you do a cartwheel to it?
Again, probably once. Never get up again.
You couldn't do cartwheels as a kid?
You know what? I took some capoeira lessons back when I was a kid. I got to the part where I had to do a cartwheel, and I think I did like a half a cartwheel. But then I quit, because if this is the basics.
then that's it. That's all you got to give. Maybe you should go down and ask these incredible kids for some tips. They would probably be able to help you.
Probably.
I can help you with CrossFit.
You know,
I can't help you with breakdancing.
I would need some help with CrossFit, yes. I would probably tell him, hey, can we turn this into a Zumba class? Because then I could maybe pull off some moves.
Well, then you could use Zumba for the breakdancing down there. Just take some adapting.
Yeah.
You could do it. I believe in you, Lucas. I believe in you.
I don't think anyone wants to see that. Got to stretch those quads.
you got to stretch everything. If you take on a breakdancing class or any class for that matter without stretching and at least warming up the body first, you're in for some trouble.
I think you need to stretch before, during, and after.
Depends on how old you are, Lucas. Trust me, the older you get, the more you need. But I am very impressed with these breakdancers. This is amazing to watch. Their mobility and flexibility is definitely up to date.
You think there are some proud parents on the in the crowd there
for
watching
sure.
this?
Oh, we saw a Matrix move right there. Look at that.
I would not be able to dodge those
Oh,
bullets.
and he came right back up.
Even Neo couldn't do that. Neo fell.
Neo did fall, but
He got better, though.
This kid definitely proved the laws of physics wrong.
You know, Neo towards the end of the movie got to a point where he was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I would just stop the bullets midair.
Folks, if you're just tuning in and you caught this entire performance of street dance, you are definitely in for a show. And we are just getting started this weekend. There is a lot to see over the next 3 days, so make sure to stay tuned here with us as we go through the elite individual athletes at the 2025 COPA SUR.
We'll be right back. All right, welcome to the 2025 CrossFit semifinals. Here from the Arena Carioca. The parking area is about 20 degrees Celsius, 82 degrees Fahrenheit, which is great for a run outside. You just watch a couple of team events, and you watch the street dance performance. This is the English broadcast that you're tuning in.
Bien con los equipos, con un Team Hakuna que ganó los dos eventos de los dos que disputó, así que un gran comienzo de competencia.
Así es, ahora nos vamos con la categoría individual. 17 de los 30 atletas de categoría masculino están repitiendo.
The longest individual event of the event with a time cap of 30 minutes, Kelly.
It is, and because of that, we only have 2 heats for the men and 2 heats for the women. So it's a total of 4 heats today for the individual athletes. Although tomorrow we do have 2 events for them, and then 3 on the final Sunday. It's going to be the day we find out who's going to this year's Today's event is very similar to last year's event, 5 rounds. But instead of clean, we have clusters ascending in. So it's going to be very interesting to see that.
It's going to be interesting indeed. Like she said, 4 tickets are going to be pushed. here.
So make sure to stay tuned with us today for the English language broadcast this weekend. We are not going to be broadcasting the teams. However, we will be broadcasting all of the individual events from today throughout Sunday.
All right, this is individual event 1, heat 1. This will be 5 rounds, 4 time, 800-meter run, then 10 thrusters with an increase in weight after each round and a time cap of 30 minutes.
Event 1 today is Road to Hell, and it's probably definitely going to feel like that once those athletes hit that run outside. It is a beautiful sunny day here in Rio. However, the temperature is not the absolute best for 5 rounds of 800 meters.
It could be a lot worse, though. I mean, Rio is known for being a very, very balmy city, but 82 degrees Fahrenheit, 28 degrees Celsius. Honestly, I think they might have turned on the AC here in this city.
I don't think that'd be a bad idea, but I'm pretty sure that these athletes are ready to take it on head on. This is no strange event, especially for the athletes that joined us at last year's COPA SUR. Last year we had 5 rounds for time, 800-meter run, and 10 cleans. All those cleans being at the same load. This year we have a bit of a switch up. Those cleans have become thrusters, and those thrusters will be increasing in weight each round. We're going to get started today with the individual elite women for event 1, with 2 heats of 15 athletes each.
Last year we had some great finishes. Usually with these really, really long events with running, so much running, at the end of the event you usually get a 2-person or 3-person race to finish, and you can expect something like this too. I remember it was a great moment with Calian Ribeiro last year. I might have screamed a little bit when that happened.
Just a little, just a little. You
I
got
might
quite excited
remember
with that
that
event, yes. This is definitely one of those events, though, where you cannot go out too hot. It's a very long event. It's basically a running event. These first few rounds of thrusters are very light for these athletes, so it's basically just a very quick breather before hitting the ground running again. But we will see athletes push it towards the end of this event, around rounds 4 and 5.
And if you tuned in last year, you'll know that COPA SUR is known for having some crazy drone shots, and I don't want to spoil anything, but you can expect some crazy drone stuff this year as well.
That drone was such a success that maybe, just maybe, we might have it a little bit more this year. Again, not to spoil too much, but I definitely stay tuned to these broadcasts this weekend.
All right, here we go. Event 1 for the individuals, heat 1 for the women. On lane 1, we have Rafaela Prado, then lane 2, Bruna Baxix, then lane 3, Tamilis Duarte, lane 4, Patricia Gonçalves, lane 5, Letícia Victor, lane 6, Bia Gonzalez, lane 7, Rebecca Mendes, lane 8, Gabriela Luque, lane 9, Nilmari Colmenares, lane 10, Priscila Gorges, lane 11, Fernanda Dotto, lane 12, Fabiane Carvalho, lane 13, Joana Boaventura, lane 14, Carolina Martinez, lane 15, Camila Gifoni, and I apologize, Pamela Gifoni, sorry, I was going to say, I apologize for mispronouncing those last names, but what you going to do? We got 80 athletes.
And many of these athletes hitting the floor in event 1 for this first heat are no stranger to the COPA SUR arena. Many of them were with us last year and in 2023. in this first heat, we have 3 athletes that have a sub 22-minute 5K run. Pamela Gifoni is said to have a 20-minute, 30-second 5K run. Considering we have 5 rounds of 800 meters, this should not be an issue for her in this event. So definitely, I think we need to keep an eye out for her and see how she does on that pace and those barbells.
You see the judges just filed into the arena. We're about ready to introduce those athletes.
Both Fabiane Carvalho and Joana Boaventura also have a 21-minute 5K. At least that's what they reported to us in the athlete profiles. So this should be a very interesting first heat to kick off the individual elites this weekend.
And again, we have 2 heats of 15 athletes. Interesting that this heat has more athletes. I would assume because there's such a large time cap with these runs that are very long runs, it probably yields some interesting finishes when you have more athletes like this on the floor.
When you have more athletes on the floor, it's definitely a bit more exciting for the audience to be watching. But for the athletes themselves, if you look at the setup and the layout of the arena, that's probably what's going to drive their adrenaline, because these athletes are essentially facing each other. So it's essentially a face-to-face. And when you start to get tired and when you're starting to get that little creep in the back of your head saying, maybe I should slow down, and you see your opponent going a little bit faster, you're definitely going to push it. Which is very much what we saw at last year's event.
And there you go. That's your first athlete coming into the arena. That's Rafaela Prado in lane 1 from CrossFit Foreheads. Followed by Bruna Baxix from Blindado CrossFit. This year's event, we're introducing the athletes one by one, get them a nice spotlight, a little time to shine, extra time to shine. Hopefully you'll enjoy learning a little bit more about these athletes as they come into the arena for their event.
The first 2 athletes that we have lined up in lane.
So they actually started from 15 going down.
Yeah, we're going backwards. But athletes 15 and 14 is actually going to be very interesting to watch, because this is Rafaela Prado's first time on the COPA SUR floor. But Bruna Baxis has been here a few times. This is not her first go-around. So we have a rookie and a veteran side by side. We're filling out those last few lanes before we get started with the women's first heat of the day.
I'm sure I'll get the order right in the next event, guys. Apologies, I thought they were starting with lane 1. We're getting used to things.
One minute to get started.
And you can feel the crowd, the energy is actually building up a little bit. They were anticipating the start of the individual events. 30 seconds.
Athletes have to start with their hands on the plates.
And we're off. Event 1, Heat 1 for the individuals with 2 tickets to Albany, New York at stake for the women. And then when the men begin, it's another 2 tickets for the CrossFit Games this year. As they head to the outside of the arena.
If you're just tuning in, this is very similar to the first event we had at the 2024 edition. However, last year's edition, we saw cleans, and this year we have thrusters that are going to be ascending in load. The first weight that we have on the barbell for the women's individual event is 65 pounds, or 29 kilos. For the second round, we go up to 85 pounds, followed by 95, 115, and finishing off at 10 reps at 135 pounds.
That's your first shot of the outside of this arena. It is a nice day to run here in Rio. Maybe just a little bit warm, but honestly, it could be so much worse in this city.
One of the great characteristics about COPA SUR is that we do have the drone that is going to be following these athletes around outside and inside the arena.
That's right. That is a drone right there. It looks like it's somebody holding a camera, but no, the guy is just very, very skillful.
Again, this is a 5-round event. So this first round of 800 meters is definitely just a paced round. This is essentially a running event. Even though we have barbells stuck in the middle between these runs, this is essentially a cardio event. It's gonna be a lung burner for sure, but there's absolutely no point in going all out on this first round and this first run because it's just not gonna be worth it in the long run. It's a very long event.
As you're following this drone completing the entire circuit.
We already see athletes heading back into the arena for that first set of 10 thrusters at 65 pounds.
And that was Joana Boaventura on lane 13, the first of the barbell.
One of the athletes who we know has a very good 5K run time of 21 minutes. So running is probably not going to be her issue with this event.
Joana was on your screen and she's already left. And on lane 12, that is Fabiana Carvalho.
Also heading back out for her second run, you see Rafaela Prado heading out as well. "65-pound thrusters are absolutely not the issue for these athletes whatsoever. Once again, this is a running event. The athletes who are going to stand out in this event, for both the women and the men, are going to be the athletes who are better conditioned for runs.
And if you're used to metric units, which if you're watching from Brazil or anywhere else other than the States, 65 pounds is 30 kilos. With 135 pounds at the very last round, that's 61 kilos. Just dividing things by 2.2.
Athletes are getting that second load on the bar at 85 pounds. Again, an 85-pound thruster is not going to be the issue for these athletes when they come in for round 2. Across the board, all the thrusters are 10 reps per set. The only thing that changes is the weight on the bar. This event is going to start to be a struggle more towards the end of round 3 going into the final rounds. Once the legs are definitely not only warmed up, but they're starting to feel it, and fatigue starts to set in. 800-meter run is no joke, especially when you're pairing that with thrusters. And the heavier that barbell gets, and the more tired your legs get, the heavier that barbell is going to feel.
This is a stamina tester for sure. The event that you want to have that second wind.
However, this year's thrusters are definitely going to be much quicker to get through than last year's clean and jerks. It's a much faster movement since you don't have to keep putting the bar back down and starting again from the floor. And the curious things about thrusters in the CrossFit community is you either love them or you hate them. Most people I know hate them. Pairing them with running, which is also not a CrossFitter's favorite activity to do, this is definitely an event where you're going to have a divided opinion amongst athletes.
And here is Joana Boaventura once again leading the pack.
You can see she's definitely holding a good, steady pace. She's not trying to get through those thrusters as fast as she can. She's trying to get through them as consistently as she can to hit that run.
I just love when we have shots like this. One athlete next to the other one. That is lane 12, Fabiane Carvalho.
And Joana Boaventura is out for her 3rd round of 800 meters. On your screen, you have Rafaela Prado.
That lane 15 was Pamela Gifone. You're watching the outside of Arena Carioca 1, the Olympic Park in Rio. In case you were living under a rock in 2016, this was the Olympic Park for the Olympic Games. Some of these arenas have been repurposed as schools. Some other arenas continue holding sporting events.
Once again, we have our very awesome drone shot following these athletes around outside. We are currently trailing Joana Boaventura, who is leading this first heat for event 1.
I can't help but feeling very impressed when I see a drone going into a corridor like this and then coming out the other side without crashing.
The media team is on top of their game. They're not messing, these athletes aren't messing around. The media team isn't messing around either. It is a beautiful day here in Rio de Janeiro. As the drone stops for a sip of beer, why not?
He's just showing off now.
By the end of this event, I'm sure these athletes are going to be wanting a really cold beer as well.
She means Gatorade. See the beautiful scenery there on the background in Rio. To the right side of your screen there, the top right corner, that is Pedra Bonita, the really long mountain plateau there, and Pedra da Gávea. Pretty far from where we are.
At this point, it is definitely a drone race. We have drones versus athletes on your screen. We have Joana Boaventura leading, but trailing very close behind is Carolina Martinez, who happen to be side by side in the arena for those thrusters. Three athletes coming back into the arena for round 3 on the barbell, and we now have 95 pounds.
And this is going to start getting really interesting, folks, because as they file into the arena, a lot of these athletes have to do exactly what they're doing now, which is loop around the barbell. And so sometimes you think someone is leading, but
we have Joana Boaventura and Carolina Martinez hitting that barbell at the exact same time, and they are basically sync on these thrusters right now.
Fairly close to each other.
We have lanes 12, 13, and 10 together.
Joana Boaventura still slightly ahead, just a couple of reps ahead.
Joana Boaventura now reaching for her belt. This is where those thrusters start to get heavy, especially once fatigue sets into the legs. Hitting a thruster when you're tired is probably one of the worst feelings in CrossFit. But she is done, and she is heading out for that last 800-meter round before she hits that last barbell at 135 pounds. Carolina Martinez and Priscilla Gorges are also out for their last round.
The 2025 COPA SUR is sponsored by Hustle Up. We have cash prize challenges at the booth. You scan the QR codes on the big screens, not the small screen, the big one, to download it. It's more than an app. It's your complete training, competition, and gym management platform.
Mari Colmenares is also heading out of the arena for her last 800 meters.
On the bottom of your screen, that is on lane 7, that is Rebecca Menges with the hot pink shorts.
Right now we have about a 50-50 split of athletes heading out of the arena and athletes heading back into the arena for their 4th round of thrusters. This is the sticking point in this workout. We see athletes beginning to struggle with that barbell, breaking it up into 2 sets.
Top of your screen, lane 2, that is Bruna Baksix. And then on the bottom of your screen, lane 14 is Carolina Martinez. The 2 athletes at the top of your screen, that's lane 3 is Tamilis Duarte in pink, and lane 5 is Letícia Victor.
You can see that even on their way out for that last round of 800 meters, athletes are starting to struggle to keep the pace. athletes are starting to head back into the arena for their last set of 10 thrusters at 135 pounds, 61 kilos on that barbell. And let's see if this is going to be a photo finish.
And the crowd is going nuts because that is Joana Boaventura.
She has led the event from the very start and held on to that first place from start to finish.
And it looks like she increased her distance slightly to second to who was in second place.
Hitting that barbell with absolutely no time to lose.
And there you go, lane 12, starting her reps, Fabiane Carvalho.
She's 3 reps in. And that barbell is definitely feeling heavy.
Hands up.
5 reps left for Joana Boaventura. And she's hitting those thrusters in singles. She's opened the lead. Not dropping that barbell to finish. And she's done.
With an unofficial time of 19:58.
Joana Boaventura starting off the weekend strong with an event win for this first heat of event 1 for the individual women.
And it's a fight for second place now.
We have hands up in lane 8 and in lane 9.
You know, lane 12, Fabiane Carvalho finished in second place with an unofficial time of 20:38.
In lane 8, we see Gabriela Lucchi finishing her first event of the weekend. Lane 6, we also see Judge with her hand in the air. That is Bia Gonzalez in lane 6, finishing up her last set of thrusters. And she is done with an unofficial time of 21:30. And in lane 9, we see Nilmari Colmenares also finishing her last set. Fernanda Dotto also finishing her thrusters.
Unofficial time of 22 minutes. Top of your screen, lane 2 is Bruna Baksix.
In lane 7, we have Rebecca Menges, also on her last reps for her final set of thrusters.
And Bruna Baksix is done. And so is Carolina Martinez.
We have Rebecca Menges almost finished, but she is struggling with those thrusters. And she has finished in lane 5. Leticia Vitor. 3 reps to go. And on the left of your screen, you have Tamires Duarte.
Letícia Vitor is done.
2 reps left for Tamires Duarte. One more to go. And Tamires Duarte is done with her first event. All athletes on the floor finishing well under that 30-minute time cap.
With a great performance from Joana Boaventura, the winner of this heat.
You could definitely see those last set of thrusters were simply uncomfortable for athletes after 40 reps and 4 rounds of 800 meters.
You're looking at Joana Boaventura, with a great performance here to start the Copa Sur, and we're going to talk to her.
As happy as she was at the end of this event, she looks unfazed.
She really does. It's intimidating.
Definitely one to keep an eye on throughout the weekend. This was a very dominating performance from her.
We're going to go down to the floor with Paul Klein.
Aqui com Joana Boaventura, primeira vez na Copa Sul, ela que é lá de Timbó, Santa Catarina, e além da primeira vez dando show aqui na arena, um pace admirável. Joana, como é que está essa experiência aqui pela primeira vez na Copa Sul?
Olha, eu estou muito feliz. Ano passado eu quase classifiquei, bati na trave, isso foi de uma certa forma uma frustração, mas me fez trabalhar muito mais o ano inteiro. Então isso aqui é um sonho meu, um sonho do meu coach, um sonho da galera lá do box, da Monster Factory. E é isso, abri a primeira prova dessa maneira, fazendo uma prova que eu gosto muito, que é uma prova mais longa de endurance, então eu quis dar o meu melhor mesmo, tá? E é isso, eu espero que tenham gostado, eu senti bastante a vibração de todo mundo, aquele drone correndo, eu só imaginava que a galera ali está me assistindo, está me empurrando, e é isso aí.
E é isso, Joana Boaventura, primeira a fechar essa primeira bateria, levando já a primeira bateria, botamos vocês aí em cima.
So we are going to get ready for Heat 2 for the women. And we just saw Paul Klein interviewing Joana Boaventura. And a couple curiosities. Joana is not only the tallest athlete amongst the women this weekend at 1.77 m, she is also the oldest, 39 years old, but she definitely did not show it on that floor just now. She did say that this was an event that she actually highly enjoyed. She likes longer endurance WODs, which was proven by how happy she seemed at the end of that workout.
She did seem very, very happy. She was talking about the drone shots and how she was thinking that people were watching her and cheering her on.
So it was an incentive. It was a telepathic incentive.
Absolutely.
That drone is doing a very good job.
177 being 5'10" if you're used to US units, and I know that because that is my height, actually. So easy.
As a 5'1" athletes. I wonder what life is like up there for you guys.
I never wondered that from my perspective. I never thought I was tall, Kelly.
I wonder that every day. Anybody who's taller than me, I wonder about that every day. I wonder how nice it must be to do wall balls at 5'7" plus.
Don't you think the taller athletes then wonder how you would perform in events like these where being short is better?
Potentially, yes.
All right, we're getting ready for a heat 2 for the women athletes. Again, same event. Road to Hell, appropriately named. Time cap of 30 minutes, the longest event we have. 5 rounds for time, 800-meter run, 10 thrusters, and the weight increases after each round.
We start at 65 pounds, and we head up to 85, 95, 115, and finishing off at 135 pounds.
Athletes are going to be introduced here in the arena one by one. I'll try to get it right this time.
Again, we have 15 athletes on the arena floor. It's only 2 heats for event 1. And today we only have 1 event for the elite individuals. On Saturday we have 2 events, and on Sunday, the grand finale, we have 3, which are going to determine which 2 athletes from the men and which 2 from the women are going to be winning their tickets to the 2025 CrossFit Games in Albany, New York in August.
Albany, a lot of people don't know this, but it's actually the state capital of New York State. It's not New York City. Everyone thinks the biggest city is the state capital in the U.S., like it is here in Brazil usually, but different in the U.S.
So essentially what you're saying is same but different?
Same thing, but different, yes.
Okay. Have you been to Albany, New York?
I've never been to Albany. I've been to Buffalo. It was, I was going to say not very pleasant because it's very, very cold in Buffalo.
It is cold in Buffalo, but the view is gorgeous. I love Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls is amazing.
And although it may not seem like it from the viewer's point of view to everybody watching on YouTube, we actually have quite a good crowd here in the arena for a Friday, for a first event day.
Most people is actually being cropped out of this frame here at the very bottom of the screen where you see the red is where you get the stands with the most amount of spectators.
Most of our spectators this year are seated where they are head-on facing the arena. And dare I say, we might actually have more spectators for the first Friday this year than we did last year.
And here we go, guys. This is lane 15, Augustina Hagi, representing Q21 CrossFit. Lane 14 is Kilia Pafiamashan. She's independent. Lane 13, Emily Andrade, BRV CrossFit. Lane 12 is Lucia Viretti, also independent. 11, Amanda Andrade, CrossFit Overking. Lane 10, Luisa Marques, CrossFit All In. Lane 8, Aline Cabral. Lane 8, I apologize again, Maria Quintero. I'll get it right.
You're warming up, Lucas.
I'm warming up. Lane 7 is Sofia Estrada. Lane 6 is Amber Davey. Lane 5, Caroline Ferreira. Lane 4, Aline Sanefuji, from Made for CrossFit. Lane 3 is Salome Boveda from WTC CrossFit.
Lane 2 is Isadora Marques. And lane 1 is Lilian Cava from Cocaris CrossFit. I'll give myself a 7 out of 10 there.
I think that's accurate.
Thank you. I thought you were going with 6.
You're warming up, Lucas. I'll be nice to you right now. In this heat, we have quite a few second and third timers hitting the COPA SUR floor for the semifinal. Lilian Cava, who is in lane 1, is a rookie, though. We also have the shortest athlete, Amber Davi, out of all the women, and the youngest, Kilia Pafian, at 22 years old.
Ten seconds to start. And we're on the way. This is Heat 2 for Event 1. The individuals trying to punch their 2 tickets for the women to the CrossFit Games in Albany, New York. Again, this is a time cap of 30 minutes. It's called Road to Hell. It's appropriately named because this is the longest workout we have this year. It's 5 rounds for time, 800-meter run, and 10 thrusters with an increase in weight after each round. As we head outside with our drone.
Our very motivating drone, apparently.
I wonder how many athletes feel the same way.
That would be an interesting poll to take after this event, both for the women and the men. Here we can see athletes quite bunched up for this first round of 800 meters. And again, this is a very long workout with a 30-minute time cap. It is 5 rounds of 800 meters. This is not the type of workout that you're going to go out too fast in the first round. You want to hold steady. You want to keep those legs intact until the very end, because by the end, those 135-pound thrusters are definitely going to be feeling heavier. Time to beat was set in the first heat by Joana Boaventura at 19 minutes and 58 seconds. This being Joana Boaventura's first appearance at the COPA SUR semifinal.
E então eu tenho muita bagagem para trazer e transformar no ambiente que ele imaginou. Então eu pego o que ele vai falando e vou somando.
In this heat, though, we do have.
Mas a gente tem uma equipe muito boa que vai dando várias ideias, né? E por que eu mencionei o Felipe? Porque ele trouxe a paleta de cores, né? O chão, como poderia ser, e a gente trabalhou junto nisso para ficar esse stand maravilhoso.
Então a culpa é da Thaís e do Felipe, tá? Vamos deixar isso claro.
E do meu sogro também, porque ele também é super criativo. Cara, ela que na realidade faz as coisas lá de casa quando precisa. Ela que troca a lâmpada se estragar, velho, pra ter noção. Porque ela puxou muito o meu sogro, assim. O que precisar engembrar, literalmente engembrar para solucionar o problema, é ela que faz. Não que aqui teve que engembrar, muito pelo contrário, mas a ideia, todos os problemas, os desafios que eu trago, ela consegue entender e transmitir para cá. E aí causa isso daqui. Ano passado, esse ano, cara, a gente trouxe realmente uma experiência única dentro da modalidade, eu acredito. E que nossa missão é essa, cara. Desafiar todo ano para trazer o melhor para a comunidade.
Agora eu quero saber esse grip, que eu fiquei sabendo que é um grip novo da Skyhill. Me fala um pouquinho dele.
Cara, acho que não tem como falar do grip se não falar do processo, né? Que é exatamente isso que eu acabei de trazer. Muito mais do que o grip que vai...
On the left side of your screen, there is an interview with Skyhill, one of the sponsors of this year's COPA SUR, just like last year.
And we already see athletes heading out for their second round of 800 meters. As someone in the comments on YouTube said, it is a drone race. Drone versus athletes.
I don't think that's fair. One can fly. Although, arguably, We have people flying, leading by quite a distance.
Again, it is a beautiful day here in Rio for a run. Luckily, these athletes are not running under the midday sun. That would be far worse for 5 sets of 800 meters. We're coming up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon here. It's a much more comfortable temperature to be running in.
And luckily, it's also not raining, because apparently we do have that forecasted for Saturday and Sunday, according to the weather app, which is wrong about 70% of the time.
And here our drone is taking a look at the outside here at COPA SUR. Not only do we have a very eventful arena, but we have a very eventful event itself. Not only do we have a lot of brands, but we also have a lot of activities and experiences that both spectators and athletes can take part in.
We're about to head back inside the arena there after that U-turn. It's just a slight turn to the right to head back inside the arena.
The second set of thrusters for this event for the women is 85 pounds.
That is on lane one. That is Lilian Cava leading this heat.
By a very large margin. She is the only one in the arena for the moment.
I love her glasses.
She's definitely incorporating style into this workout as she heads out for her third round of 800 meters. You blinked and she was done with those thrusters. And that drone is tailing Lilian Cava. And this is her first appearance at CrossFit COPA SUR.
And just now we have more athletes going for their run.
To the left of your screen, you're going to see a lot of barbells going up and down for that second set of thrusters. Lilian Cava is leading by a very, very large margin at the moment. As you can see from that drone shot, she's well ahead for her third round.
Forcing the media team to have a split screen. That's how far she is.
That gap is slowly closing, though, as we see a beautiful shot of Arena Carioca 1 here in Rio de Janeiro. On the left of your screen, you can see that the arena is currently empty of athletes as everybody is out for their run. Not long now before we see Lilian Cava and about 3 or 4 other athletes heading back into the arena for their third round. Thrusters for this third round are 95 pounds. Athletes are going to be making that final U-turn outside and heading back in through the arena doors. We are coming up on 10 minutes for a 30-minute time cap on this workout.
And for reference, the time to beat from our previous heat, 19:58. That was Joana Boaventura with a great performance.
On the left of your screen, judges anxiously awaiting to have their athletes back in the arena. And our first athlete is heading back into the arena.
Lilian Cava still leading by a very small margin now. The first to her barbell, followed by lane 9, Aline Cabral, and lane 8, Maria Quintero. We'll see who puts down their barbell first.
This is the second appearance for
And
Aline
it is
Cabral.
lane 8, Maria Quintero. And just now on lane 1, Lilian Cava going for her run.
This is that moment where your barbell setup is definitely going to impact the workout.
And once again, folks, this is the one individual event of the day. We'll have 2 more heats after this one for the men athletes.
The women are out for their 4th set of 800 meters. And when they come back into the arena, they're going to hit another 10 reps of thrusters, now at 115 pounds. By the time you hit round 4 of this workout, your legs are burning, your lungs are burning, and now is when it really kicks in, where you have to have mind over matter.
The 2025 Copa Sur is sponsored by Skyhill. Enjoy the process. They have some really cool grips.
They do.
Year.
This year's grips are quite impressive. We've got Aline Cabral in front for this 400-meter run, for this 800-meter run, apologies. Again, it is a beautiful day here in Rio. This is the point in this type of workout where fatigue really starts to set in, where 30 thrusters in 2.4K down, and legs are definitely starting to feel heavy. When athletes hit that 4th round of thrusters, now at 115 pounds, it's going to start feeling heavier than it actually is. And as we saw in the first heat, that 135-pound barbell at the end was no easy task for these athletes, where we saw many of them breaking it up in sets of 2, 3, even hitting singles towards the end.
Athletes approaching that U-turn to then take a short right and head back into the arena floor.
Lilian Cava, our initial heat leader, now falling behind to about 3rd or 4th.
I think 3rd place. It's hard to tell, obviously, but she was in first. She was the second to leave the floor, and now I think she's in third. But we'll see.
We see our media team here trying to keep up with the athletes and doing a fantastic job.
All right, so far we have a two-person race. We'll see who gets to their barbell first.
You can see visibly in these athletes' faces that it's starting to burn. And we have lane 8 and 9 side by side.
Aline Cabral and Maria Quintero pretty much in sync.
Which curiously happened in the first heat as well on round 4.
And the first one to go to her run is Maria Quintero, lane 8 in orange.
Thrusters are one of the barbell movements which do favor smaller stature athletes as they tend to be quicker.
And just now, at the top of your screen, is lane 1, Lilian Cava, who was your heat leader.
Sofia Estrada is not presenting any issues with her thrusters except for a no rep there. The weight does not seem to be a problem for her, though, at 115 pounds. She was hitting those quite quickly. Lilian Cava, however, is starting to break up her set of 10 at 115. On the left of your screen, at the bottom, you have Amanda Andrade. Finishing up her set of 115-pound thrusters, heading out for her 5th and final run. And almost in the center of your screen, you have Luisa Marquez in lane 10. Again, with absolutely no issues when it comes to that load. Luisa Marquez is no stranger to the competition floor. She started CrossFit in 2013 and is actually a CrossFit Games competitor. Lilian Cava still struggling with those 115-pound thrusters.
It's one of 2 athletes still performing the thrusters, and now the only one, and now she's off to her run. And so she was leading after round 1 and 2, but again, this is an endurance stamina test.
All right, now we have Maria Quintero leading heat 2, the final heat for women's event 1. Road to Hell. And that's probably what it feels like by round 5. Aline Cabral on your screen also on her 5th and final 800-meter run. This is a total of 4 kilometers and 50 thrusters. This is a very unpleasant event. It's a lung burner, it's a leg burner, and by the time you hit this final round of thrusters, you really have to have good stamina to hang on.
It's a great start to the Copa Sur. Start with a bang.
Definitely.
The longest time cap.
The longest bang. And again, this is very similar to last year's first event.
And that is Maria Quintero in the orange there, your leader.
Taking a quick breather before hitting that last barbell.
Just now, Aline Cabral is jogging into the arena.
Unbroken on these thrusters so far. Is she going to go unbroken all the way? 135 pounds on the barbell. With 2 remaining.
And side by side now with Aline Cabral, who just started her barbells.
1 left. And she is done. Maria Quintero finishing the event in first place.
With an unofficial time of 19:58, which ties our previous heat. So we'll see what the official time actually is.
Aline Cabral with a no rep there on her thrusters. The heavier these thrusters are, the more challenging it becomes to lock out overhead.
Judge's hand is up for Aline Cabral.
We also have hands up in lane 6 and 15. And 14. Amber Davi, Kylia Papillon Marchand, August Haag. Aline Cabral with 3 reps left. And she is struggling on this last weight. In lane 11, Amanda Andrade also hitting those thrusters with no issue whatsoever. Judge's hand is in the air.
We have a number of judges with their hands in the air. We'll see who eventually finishes in second place.
Aline Cabral finishing in second place, closely tied with lane 7.
21-29 unofficially. And lane 7 was Sofia Estrada.
We have 4 athletes done with event 1 for this weekend. Lane 10, Luisa Marques finishing up. And she is done with her final set of thrusters. Lane 11, we also see Amanda Andrade finished. Lane 12, Lucia Viretti done.
Lane 13, that is Emily Andrade on the left side of your screen.
Lane 2, we see Isadora Marques also done.
Top of your screen, you're looking at lanes 3 and 4. 3 is Salome Boveda, and 4 is Aline Sanefuji on the right side. Only 1 rep left. 1 or 2. Hard to see those fingers.
Aline Sanefuji pushing through on this last set of thrusters. Hitting singles. Only 2 reps left.
And Salome Boveda is done.
Lilian Cava taking her time with that barbell. Lilian Cava, who was your initial heat leader.
Aline Sanefuji is done.
Lilian Cava opting to rest that barbell on her shoulders. with the crowd support to push to the end. She's almost done. And Lidia Cava finishes her first event of the weekend
with an unofficial time of 24:40. And that is the end of the heat. Again, with time to spare. You're watching your first place finisher there in the orange. That is Maria Quintero with an unofficial time of 19:58, tying the first place we had in Heat 1 from Joana Boaventura, unofficially again. We're going to go to the floor to talk to Maria Quintero. Fabio Broco.
Cami Quintero de Colombia, te conozco muy bien, estuvimos juntos en Ecuador, charlamos un poco, yo sé que tienes mucha experiencia. ¿Cuáles son los retos de gestionar el ritmo en una prueba tan larga como esta y que te exige mucho al pulmón?
La verdad, siempre escuchar a tu cuerpo, siempre analizar qué puedes dar, qué no y si vale la pena. La verdad, esto se gana con el entrenamiento y entre más compitas vas a saber ese ritmo. Yo siempre soy de go with the flow.
Go with the flow. Perfecto. Los colombianos están acá ganando todo. El equipo, ahora tú, ¿sueles correr mucho, entrenar las pesas con corrida?
Sí, Facundo, mi coach, siempre enfatiza en un buen manejo de las máquinas, que lleves un buen ritmo en tu corrida, que te conozcas bien y trata de que tú te vuelvas especialista en manejar tu 90%. Entonces, sí, creo que también tener una buena planificación es la clave.
Muy chévere, dale. Desde Colombia, Quintero.
Un saludo a todos los brasileros, amo Brasil, su energía, su gente e também os atletas, gracias.
Ela comprou até roupa do Brasil ontem, ela disse que vai usar em alguma das provas. É isso, ela ama o Brasil. Até mais.
E aí uma parte importante é que a gente vai ter bastante exercícios que não são feitos somente na barra alta, tá? São feitos na barra baixa, no solo, eles vão ser de extrema importância para construir a parte neutra.
Back here at the 2025 COPA SUR CrossFit semifinals from the Arena Carioca 1 in Rio de Janeiro, the Olympic Park. This is Road to Hell. It is event 1, heat 1 for the men. And once again, time cap of 30 minutes, the longest time cap we have for the COPA SUR. 5 rounds, 4 time, 800-meter run, followed by 10 thrusters, and the weight increases after each round. We start off with 95 pounds, and we finish with 185 on that bar. That is 43 kilos to start, finishing with 84 kilos.
And on your screen, we have the first athletes who are going to be tackling this first heat for the men. Amongst them, we have many rookies, actually. Alan Pereira, Bernardo Jardim, Igor Viana, Valentin Mesa, and Vitor Lofi Warzeniak are all first-timers here at COPA SUR. We also have the youngest and the oldest athletes at this year's edition. Benjamin Reyes is only 19 years old, and Alan Pereira is the oldest of the men at 34.
That hurt a little bit because I'm 37. The oldest, the way you said it, it's just the way you said it, Kelly.
He's the oldest of the athletes that we have today. It's just factual.
I know it's factual. It's just she gave me the side eye, guys, when she said it.
I did not give you a bombastic side eye. You gave yourself a bombastic side eye.
I did. It's true. Guilty as charged.
I said nothing. The shoe fit and you took it.
We'll try to get these introductions right this time.
In this heat, we have the latest start to CrossFit as well, or the most recent, I should say. Juan Facundo only started CrossFit in 2021. 4 years later, he is finding himself on the semifinal floor. That is hard work put to the test.
And once again, these men are competing for 2 tickets to go to the CrossFit Games in August in Albany, New York, the state capital of New York State. Just a 3-hour drive due north of New York City.
However, I can guarantee you that the weather here today is probably much nicer than it is in Albany. We see a beautiful blue sky outside, which these athletes will be running under for 5 rounds of 800 meters before heading back into the arena for sets of 10 thrusters, increasing a load as they go. As we saw for the women, towards rounds 4 and 5, those thrusters start to get much heavier than what they actually are once fatigue has set in after at least 30, 40 reps and quite a lot of running. This is an endurance workout. Athletes who are better fitted for longer endurance WODs are going to probably breeze through this. Athletes who are better equipped for sprints are definitely going to feel the burn.
It's a beautiful day outside, around 27 degrees Celsius. That's about 80 degrees Fahrenheit, if you know those units. And the sun isn't even that strong.
It is 4:30 in the afternoon here in Brazil. It would be much worse for these athletes if they were running under the midday sun.
In the actual hot Rio weather.
Yes.
Judges are on the arena floor waiting for the athletes. I'll try to get these introductions right this time. Aiming for an 8 of 10.
I believe in you, Lucas.
Here we go. Lane 15 is Igor Viana. Lane 14 is Mateus Romão from CrossFit Monstros. Lane 13, Benjamin Reyes. Lane 12 is Valentin Mesa from WTC CrossFit. Lane 11, Lautaro Brichetti. Lane 10, Edgar Carvalho, CrossFit Pravati. Lane 9 from Argentina, Juan Facundo Orando. Lane 8 from Chile is Martina Afonso Fuentes Baca. Lane 7 is Filemon Souza. Lane 6, Bernardo Jardim from Tupan CrossFit. Lane 5, Renato Guimarães, Vitória CrossFit. Lane 4, Danilo Moreira. Lane 3, Vitor Walzrenyak. Lane 2, Alain Henrique Pereira. And lane 1, José Maria de Paula Jr. from PRV CrossFit.
Athletes are getting ready for this first heat for the men's individual elite. Event 1, Road to Hell. Athletes have to start the event with hands on the plates. 30 seconds to go.
Ten seconds. And we're off. This is Heat 1 for the men. 2 tickets to Albany, New York at stake here.
Athletes head out for their first 800-meter run. And when they come back in, they have 10 thrusters at 95 pounds.
We had some exciting finishes last year with the male athletes, with Calian Ribeiro at the very end there. Not the same workout, but very, very similar.
We're just exchanging clean and jerks for thrusters. Now, although the thruster is a quicker movement to perform than the clean and jerk, the fact that these thrusters go up in weight throughout this workout and you're adding in a squat movement with all this running, it's definitely going to start frying those legs and lungs by round 3, which is what we saw with the elite women. We saw athletes starting to fall back and tighten up their pace towards rounds 3 into 4. And coincidentally, on both of the women's heats on round 4, we saw athletes catching up to each other and even had a few moments of synchronized thrusters. Let's see if we're going to have the same happen with these 2 heats of men. One very entertaining characteristic about COPA SUR is that we do have the drone shots outside and inside the arena. And as someone commented earlier, it is very much a drone versus athletes race. The drone's even been pit stopping along the way to say hi to everybody outside.
It's true, but they cut a lot of corners.
They do. The drones, in the case, not the athletes.
Yes, that would be disqualification for the athletes, but the drone definitely. So it's not fair, is what we're trying to say. Case in point, that is a giant corner right there, drone.
That is a giant corner, but he is closely tagging along as the athletes are going to be heading back into the arena. First athletes coming back in for their first set of 10 thrusters.
The first of the barbell is actually
Mateus Romão hitting that first set of thrusters. Juninho heading out for his first run. And Matheus Romão hitting the ground running first, since he is technically closer to the exit. Although Juninho has the advantage of hitting his barbell first coming in, since he is closer to the entrance, Matheus Romão took the advantage of being able to head out first after their first set of thrusters. Athletes are wasting no time on these barbells, and you see everybody in fact, is out for their second round of 800 meters.
Pretty tight after one round.
Judges promptly setting up those barbells for round 2. The weight of 115 pounds, or 52 kilos.
If you watched our last 2 heats with the women athletes, both those heats finishing with time to spare of around 6 minutes.
This is our longest workout of the event, the time cap of 30 minutes.
The 2025 COPA SUR is sponsored by Skyhill, the grips and accessories trusted by athletes on the floor, the grips that rule the arena.
We actually got to take a look at those grips yesterday, and those pink ones were very, very well developed and very good.
Very sticky. It was the Inspiration 2.5.
Yes.
And as they told us, they were not built to last the longest, but they were built to give you the best grip, and it was...
They're performance grips. They're performance grips.
You could
not
scale
training
a
grips.
building.
Yeah.
Spider-Man style with those grips. It was that sticky. It really was.
As interesting as that would be to see, I really hope nobody tries that.
Let's not... Don't take what I say as a suggestion, please.
Athletes are currently outside, completing their second round of 800 meters. As the crowd here in the arena waits for them to return, as we see Matheus Romão coming in for his second set of 10 thrusters.
He does have to go around the arena, though.
Followed closely behind by Juninho.
So there you go. So Juninho is actually the first to get to his barbell.
We have lane 1 and 15, the first and last lane, competing for the lead position in this first heat.
And Matheus Romão just starting. I mean, lane 14.
Juninho is done and heading out. Let's see how fast Matheus Romão can move.
It's neck and neck.
Barely in time. This is going to be a very interesting first heat to watch.
Juninho wearing the jersey that says Juninho. I hope that starts a trend, as for selfish reasons.
That would be very
That would be very, very helpful.
And on the right of your screen, you see the drone following our 2 heat leaders at the moment, Juninho and Matheus Romão.
Only judges on the arena floor.
This is Matheus Romão's second appearance at COPA SUR. However, this is Juninho's third plus. He's been around for a minute. He is no stranger to the semifinal arena.
And he's building a lead there, as they were neck and neck, but now building a bit of a gap.
having someone so close to you in a long event like this, you have to be very smart to not let the adrenaline rush push you to the point where you're going to burn out too soon. So it's definitely a mind game. You can use it as motivation to push. Just make sure you don't push too hard that you're actually going to end up falling behind towards the end. This is a 5-round workout.
And if you're wondering if there is an app that you could download to follow all of our events, the answer is duh. It's the Hustle Up app, and you can download it. It's your digital hub for the COPA SUR. All the event schedules and activities are inside this app. We also have cash prize challenges at the Hustle Up booth. You can scan the QR codes that you see in the big screens here in the event to download it. It's more than an app. It's your complete training, competition, and gym management platform.
And the drone is right behind Juninho as he heads back into our arena for round 3 of 10 thrusters, now at 135 pounds, which was the women's final load. 61 kilos on the bar.
And Juninho is on lane 1, which means that he gets to his barbell much faster. So this is quite the lead that he has built.
And he is hitting those thrusters with no issues whatsoever.
And as he finishes, Matheus Romão on lane 14 starts his barbell.
As fast as Juninho started those thrusters, he finished them.
Matheus Romão is now off to the races.
.135 for thrusters is not an unusual weight for you to see in a workout. However, once you've already performed 20 reps prior to this and 2.4K run, 135 doesn't feel like 135 anymore. And by the end of this workout, 185 pounds is definitely not going to be feeling like 185 pounds. Fatigue has set in to your legs by the end of this workout, and it's a push. We saw the women really struggling to lock out on those last thrusters of the final round, and it's going to be interesting to see if the men are going to be having the same issue on that final load, because 185 pounds is no easy feat for a thruster.
And the floor is now clear of athletes. This is heat 1 of event 1. For the male athletes, we have one more heat after this. It's the one and only individual event of the day. You're looking at Juninho.
And right behind him, you see Matheus Romão on your screen. You can visibly see in these athletes' faces that this 4th round is pushing it. Like I said before, this is where mind over matter kicks in. Now it's much more important to maintain pace rather than lose pace.
And as you said, Kelly, one of the events where stature plays a role here, but it's usually shorter athletes that have an advantage this time around.
For thrusters, definitely. Having a shorter stature is definitely going to be helpful as the movement is quicker with shorter
Juninho
limbs.
still in the lead, starting his thrusters.
We have 155 pounds on the bar for round 4. 3 reps to go.
And you just saw Mateus right behind him.
1 left. And he has done. Juninho tackling those thrusters like he was built for it.
And it looks like Mateus is now in 3rd place. As Danilo Moreira in lane 4 started his thrusters before he did.
Juninho is definitely starting to feel this workout now. His posture has changed quite dramatically from the first couple rounds of runs, as you would expect in a workout like this. This is a running workout. It's an endurance workout. The thrusters are there just to make your legs a little bit heavier before you head that running again. And so far, Juninho has been hitting these thrusters unbroken.
All by his lonesome on the right side of your screen.
Him and the drone. The drone is keeping Juninho company as he weaves around outside Arena Carioca 1 before he heads back in. I venture to say the drone is working as hard as these athletes are this weekend.
Putting on a show, as always. Wait, this is the drone day.
This is the drone day,
People
yes.
go outside today. Drone goes outside, wants to show off a little bit.
Judges are setting up those barbells for the last set of thrusters at 185 pounds.
Lane 11 at the bottom of your screen there is Lautaro Brichetti.
On your screen, Juninho leading Heat 1, Event 1 for this weekend, Road to Hell.
Getting close to that U-turn there.
In Heat 1 for the women, we were told by our event leader that the drone was motivating her when she thought that everybody that was watching at home was watching via the drone, so it pushed her a little bit harder towards the end. I wonder if Juninho is thinking the same thing at this moment, since it is only him and the drone at this moment. As he heads back into the arena for his 5th and final set of thrusters at 185 pounds. And he's already getting ready to go. He's adjusting his belt as he comes into the arena. Wasting no time whatsoever. And the crowd is counting down these final reps. Past halfway. 1 break. He's got 3 reps to go.
Plenty of time to be the leader here.
Quick break. Last rep.
There you go with an unofficial time of 17:53. That is your heat leader. Juninho.
Turning to the crowd for that little extra bit of motivation to celebrate.
Bottom left of your screen, cropped by a little bit, is Matheus Romão in white. He gets no rep. So many hands are up.
You see athletes breaking up these thrusters. Matheus Romão finishing in second place for this heat.
18:46.
On your screen, we see many athletes on the floor, lying down, taking a breather after getting through the road to hell, which is probably what their legs and lungs feel like at this moment. Luckily, this is the only individual event today.
Far right of your screen, lane 6 is Bernardo Jardim with the hand up there and done.
You see hand in the air for lane 13. Benjamin Reyes finishing his workout. In lane 12, Valentin Mesa as well. Hand in the air for lane 10, Edgar Carvalho. Edgar Carvalho also done. We are just now hitting the 20-minute mark for a 30-minute time cap. We have one more athlete entering the arena. Lautaro Brichetti heading to his barbell with support from the crowd to finish his first workout this weekend. Final set of 185-pound thrusters.
The crowd is counting the reps with him.
Four reps to go for Lautaro Brichetti.
Last rep. And he's done.
Done.
And again, very similar to the heats that we saw from the women athletes, a leader taking the lead and finishing strong, and then a fight for second and third places, with Juninho finishing with an unofficial time of 17:53.
Just a couple minutes under Joana Boaventura for Heat 1 for the women.
Joana Boaventura that finished with 19:58 unofficially. We're going to talk to Juninho on the floor there. You just love the slow motion at the very last rep. And you see the crowd behind him.
A brief moment of panic and then a solid lockout on those thrusters.
We're going to Paul Klein.
Tô aqui com o Juninho, é o nome dele, representando o BRV CrossFit. Cara, ele tem um dos melhores 5K registrados que a gente tem aqui, de tênis de CrossFit, e ele aniquilou sua primeira participação aqui no individual. Como é que tá essa experiência, Juninho?
Primeira coisa é que eu não estava esperando, né? Foi no último segundo, como sempre, com muito apavoro. Quando eu vi a primeira prova, tinha corrido, eu falei, pô, agora sim eu tenho que ir pra dentro. Foi lindo, finalzinho ali senti bastante, mas deu para concluir com sucesso.
Para deixar o coach aqui orgulhoso, manda uma mensagem para a galera aí que está só começando o Copa Sur.
Galera, primeiro dia, primeiro evento foi lindo. Pode esperar muita coisa por esse final de semana e com muito apavoro. Vambora.
É isso, gente. Esse foi o Juninho, levando a primeira bateria aqui. Volta com vocês aí em cima. Do it like that. Do it like that. Do it like that.
Back at the 2025 Copa Sur, the CrossFit semifinals. You just saw Juninho put on quite the show, finishing with a 17-minute, 53-second performance, leading the heat for Event 1 for the male athletes. We're about ready to start Heat 2 with some very, very interesting names in this heat. Don't go anywhere. Once again, this is the longest time cap of the Copa Sur. Event 1 is called Road to Hell, appropriately named. 5 rounds per time, 800-meter run, 10 thrusters, and the weight increases after each round. As you look at the list of athletes that are going to be competing in this heat, some famous names here.
We have CrossFit Games athletes in this heat. We have many Copa Sur veterans in this heat. This is going to be a very, very interesting heat to watch.
And again, last year, if you were watching Kalyan put on the show, we had quite the photo finish at the very end. It's quite exciting to watch. After 3 heats, we haven't quite had that photo finish for first place, but we have had that for second and third. So far, we've had some pretty great performances from both the women and Juninho in the last heat that you watched, leading by quite the margin.
We have 2 rookie athletes to Copa Sur in this heat, Adriano Ponte and Juan Facundo, both premiering on the Copa Sur floor.
We're getting ready to introduce these athletes. I thought I did a little better.
I'll give it an 8.5.
Oh, wow. That was nice. Thank you.
Let's see if we can make it to a 9.
That is tough.
Again, I believe in you, Lucas. I have faith. In this heat, we also have the oldest in CrossFit athlete. André Primo started CrossFit in 2013. And we also have the most recent start to CrossFit in this heat, Juan Facundo, one of our rookies who just started in 2021. So we have a battle of veterans and rookies in this heat.
That's quite the gap there.
That's quite the gap. That's almost a 10-year gap. And André Primo not only has been doing this for quite a while, but he is no stranger to the competition floor. He has been competing probably since he started. And he is a household name here in Brazil and always draws a lot of attention and a lot of cheers from the crowd.
Competing for a long time and competing well.
True. André Primo is also one of the strongest athletes that we have amongst the male competitors this year. He has some of the best loads for clean and jerks, for snatches, for deadlifts. So I am very interested to see how he is going to tackle and feel about these thrusters. without a doubt that those first couple barbells are going to feel like nothing to him. But I would like to see how he is going to hit that final set of 185 pounds, if Anderon was going to manage to go unbroken.
185 pounds, which converts to 84 kilos. The males start with 95 pounds, and that's 43 kilos, and they practically double that weight by the time they're done. The judges are so patient. They have that position with their hands crossed.
And very observant. And all the judges here at COPA SUR are all level 1 coaches. So they have a very precise eye. They have a lot of patience, like you said, and are very fair. We've seen a lot of no reps being distributed, justly so, on these first 3 events, these first 3 heats for event 1, with no lockouts at the top, with not enough depth on the squats. And those are definitely things that athletes have to look out for, especially as the barbell gets heavier. It's much harder to lock out overhead once you're tired specifically. So we've seen a lot of athletes, especially on that last barbell, struggling to lock out overhead and being handed a no rep. We do have many CrossFit Games athletes in this heat, though, so this is definitely going to be a run for the money, because we have these athletes facing each other on the floor, which already amps up the heat. And when you have CrossFit Games athletes, CrossFit Games veterans, staring at each other on during a very long workout, I'm going to be very interested to see who's going to use that as motivation and who's going to use that as intimidation.
And once again, these male athletes are fighting for 2 tickets to compete in the CrossFit Games in Albany, New York. It is the first CrossFit Games in the East Coast in August, which will be summer. Well, you could call it fall, actually, in the U.S.
The transition period.
Transition period. That's good.
Let's call it that. Kylan Souza also has one of the best recorded 5K times that we have here on record at 18 minutes and 47 seconds. And in this event, we have 5 rounds of 800 meters, totaling out 4K.
All right, here we go, folks. Let's get this right. Lane 15, the one and only Anderon Primo from CrossFit Marília. Lane 14, Victor Amancio, CrossFit Pravati. Lane 13 is Bruno Diniz, made for CrossFit. Lane 12 is Jerônimo Bondean. Lane 11 is Pedro Martins, CrossFit Higienópolis. Lane 10 is Benja Gutierrez, Independent. Lane 9, João Pedro Barcelos, CrossFit 7-9. Lane 8, Augustine Riquelme. Lane 7, Bruno Marins. Lane 6, Matheus Gomes. Lane 5, Calian Ribeiro de Souza from CrossFit All In. Lane 4, Juan Ignacio Rossini, CrossFit 4L. Lane 3, Adriano Ponte, CrossFit Pravati. Lane 2, Henrique Moreira, BRV CrossFit. And lane 1, Thalisson Martins. That's the hardest thing I've ever done. I'm kidding.
I'll give you an 8.5. We're not going up.
Thanks. But we're not going down, so thanks.
"30 seconds to get started. Athletes with their hands on the plates. We can already hear the crowd cheering. There are a lot of crowd favorites in this heat. The second and final heat for the individuals today.
Ten seconds. And we are off. This is the last heat of the first day of the 2025 COPA SUR CrossFit semifinals.
And our drone is heading down the stands and tagging along with the athletes as they head out for their first 800-meter run. Once again, this is 5 rounds for time, 800 meters, with 10 reps of thrusters each round, increasing in weight. For the men, we start at 95 pounds into 115, 135, 155, and ending at 185 pounds. And we are here with our fabulous drone, doing as much work as these athletes this weekend.
In our last heat, Juninho put on a show, led all athletes, finishing with 17 minutes, 53 seconds unofficially.
Athletes in this second heat for the men are getting to run outside with the sun starting to set, which makes the weather much nicer to run in.
Overcast skies too, which is just nicer.
It's much more pleasant than the women had for the first heat, that's for sure. Temperature's starting to come down a little bit. Sun's not blaring as it was before.
26 degrees Celsius in Rio right now. It's about 78, 79 degrees Fahrenheit.
Luckily, these athletes are running today, though, because we do have rain forecast for this weekend for the end of the day, tomorrow and Sunday. However, these athletes do only have this event for day one. It is our longest event of the weekend with 30 minutes on the clock for a time cap. Tomorrow, individual athletes have 2 events to tackle, and on the final day on Sunday, they have 3. Athletes are pouring back into the arena, quite close to each other. Unlike Heat 1, we don't have much of a distance between these athletes for round 1.
First to his barbell is lane 6, Mateus Gomes.
And you can clearly see that 95 pounds is, dare I say, child's play for these athletes.
Off to the races, Mateus Gomes. Followed by lane 10, Benja Gutierrez.
Spectators at home watching on YouTube, if you happen to get up to get a glass of water when the athletes came into the arena, if you're only just now coming back, I'm sorry, you missed the thrusters. And judges are setting up these barbells for the second weight, which for the men is 115 pounds.
£115 is 52 kilos.
I'm going to be very bold and quite confidently say that this next weight is also going to be, you blink, you missed it for these athletes. So I recommend to all the viewers at home, if you're watching on YouTube, do not get up when these athletes come back into the arena. Hold on just for about 20 seconds. And then still stick around because we're going to have the drone shot.
Don't get up.
Following our athletes. Just stick
stay.
around.
Yeah.
Just stay.
Bring your phone with you if you need water, is what Kelly is trying to tell you.
I don't know what, yes, if you're watching on your phone, yes. If you're watching on the computer, just take the computer with you to get water. And we're back with our drone and our cameras outside. The media team doing a fantastic job with coverage.
And you're looking at Mateus Gomes in the blue there.
And you can see that most athletes, and we saw this for the previous heat for the men and for the women as well, almost all the athletes have running shoes on for this workout. Very few have actual CrossFit shoes that we're used to seeing in the gym because this is a running workout. Those barbells are there basically to trick you. It's just to set in that fatigue in the legs and make that run a little bit harder.
That said, Juninho was an outlier there. As Paul was interviewing him, he was actually wearing CrossFit shoes, and he managed to win.
He was, yeah.
And that is Mateus Gomes.
Coming back in for his second set of 10 thrusters at 115 pounds now. Straight into a squat.
Kalyan is actually the second to start his thrusters.
Mateus Gomes in the arena and out of the arena with no time lost as he holds a very steady pace on that run, heading back out for his third round of 800 meters. I was correct in my observation just a few minutes ago. 115 pounds, no issue for these athletes. However, coming into 135 now for round 3, they're definitely going to start feeling it. After 3 rounds of 800 meters and 20 thrusters under your belt, that barbell is going to start to feel a little bit unpleasant. At this point, lungs are starting to hurt a little bit. Your legs are definitely starting to feel it. Now it's very much a matter of maintaining pace. It's a very long workout, and of a 5-round workout, it's going to be around rounds 3 or 4 that you're going to start to hit that sticking point.
Coming up on 8 minutes here. This being the longest event of the Copa Sur at the time cap of 30 minutes.
I'm keeping an eye here on the comments that we have on our YouTube Live. And the drones are definitely the star of the show for this event. Now, I don't think they're going to crash into any trees, but they might stop for a beer. This is the second time we are hitting the beer truck.
I think the drone actually has a problem. Stopping for the beer multiple times in one day. It's not even happy hour.
It is here. It's 5 p.m.
Time flies. I did not know that.
But the drone is definitely working as hard as these athletes, as we've said. And we have a great shot of Rio from above. And a great view of Arena Carioca 1. As we tag along with these athletes for the 4th and final heat for event 1 this weekend for our individual elite athletes.
And Mateus Gomes here with quite the lead. The drone having to work to have second place athletes
It's
in the same frame.
It's Mateus on the drone right now. Mateus holding a very steady pace on that run. Heading back into the arena for this third round of thrusters. Now at 135 pounds or 61 kilos. And the crowd is definitely getting fired up.
And here you go. Reaches his barbell. He is lane 6, which means he doesn't have to run that far to get to his barbell.
Smooth and fast on those thrusters. The crowd is counting the reps for him as he heads back out already. This is very impressive pace from Mateus Gomes.
And it does look like Callian is in second place currently.
We see lane 10. Benjamin Gutierrez already heading out as well.
He actually completed his set before Callian did. So Callian being in third place and Benjamin Gutierrez being in second place.
But Mateus Gomes holding steady with the lead for this second heat. That gap is closing significantly on this fourth round of 800 meters. Benja Gutierrez catching up very quickly to Mateus Gomes. And as we follow along with the drone, we see a passing. Benja Gutierrez passing Mateus Gomes for the first time in this heat, as they come back into the arena for their fourth set of thrusters, now at 155 pounds or 70 kilos.
It's like you said, Kelly, the second to last and last rounds, that's when that second wind needs to kick in.
That's when it's not about motivation, it's about discipline and maintaining a good mindset that you can keep pushing through. Benja Gutierrez now taking the lead for the second heat of elite men here at COPA SUR 2025.
You also saw there that Callian was getting very close to Mateus Gomes too.
We have our media team side by side with our first place heat leader right now. Our media team lead Vinicius running as fast as he can. And keeping that camera very, very stable as he's doing so. I think it's clear that our media team has been training very, very hard to keep up with these athletes in the semifinals.
And Benja Gutierrez is now in the arena. He goes to lane 10, which is not that far from lane 6, which was Mateus Gomes.
The crowd is already cheering. Went straight for the barbell. And we see 155 pounds moving with no issues.
And Callian now in second place. And here comes Mateus Gomes starting his thrusters.
And Benja Gutierrez is heading out for his fifth and final run. Callian Souza also heading out. Your heat leader, Benjamin Gutierrez, is no stranger to the competition floor. This is not his first rodeo here at COPA SUR. He was also with us last year, and he did this workout, but the original version of clean and jerks.
On the right side of your screen, you're looking at your heat leader. That is Benja Gutierrez, who was not leading in the previous rounds, but managed to overtake Mateus Gomes.
And a reminder that Benja Gutierrez is a CrossFit Games veteran. Benja Gutierrez started CrossFit in 2015 and actually took part in the CrossFit Games as a teen athlete in 2018. On the right side of your screen, you can see some of the very cool and fun stuff that's going on here at COPA SUR. We have a lot of booths set up for experiences and workshops that are going on for spectators and athletes. We've got a whole event, a whole festival going on here in Rio. So it's going to be a very, very entertaining weekend for everybody present. Once again, we have our drone and Benja Gutierrez.
Looks behind him, all he sees is a tiny camera.
Flying.
And here's a cool shot with the drone there to the top of the screen.
You've got camera inception here. Cameras at every angle you can imagine. And Benjamin Gutierrez heads back into the arena for his 5th and final round of thrusters. Now at 185 pounds.
84 kilos.
And the crowd cheers him on as he comes in.
He has built a lead between rounds here.
A very large lead. He is the only one in the arena.
And just now we see the second athlete coming in. And it is Kalian Souza.
Halfway. Is he going to go unbroken? And he's looking to the crowd as he finishes in first place. The unofficial time, just under 17 minutes.
17:46.
Kalian Souza finishing up. And he is done, second place.
That's 18:09 for Kalian unofficially.
In the second heat, we are seeing athletes go unbroken on this last set of thrusters. Considering we have 84 kilos on that barbell, that is impressive.
Top of your screen, lane 2 finished up. That is Henrique Moreira. Bottom of your screen, 13, 12, and 11. 13 is Bruno Diniz, 12 Jerônimo Baldeon, 11 Pedro Martins.
Pedro Martins finished. And you can see athletes one by one taking a quick break on the floor.
Top of your screen, lane 1, Thalisson Martins.
Lane 7, Bruno Martins, almost wrapping up his first event.
Lane 8, Augustin Riquelme just finished up. Thaleson Martins finishes and collapses to the floor. You see the judge there checking to see if they're okay.
And telling them not to roll out. Bit of instability in lane 7, but done. I can guarantee you these athletes are feeling like they have definitely been through hell after this workout.
Anderon Primo is lane 15, doing his thrusters on the far left of your screen. And joining him now is lane 14, Victor Amancio.
Anderon Primo done, unbroken.
It looks like Victor Amancio is the last athlete starting his thrusters. And as usual, what's going to happen is this crowd is going to support him.
You can hear the crowd counting for him. 2 more. And he is done.
20:52. Plenty of time to spare.
We are coming up on 21 minutes now on a 30-minute workout. These 2 heats for the men's individual have been nothing short of impressive.
Quite a show by Benja Gutierrez with 17:46 unofficially. That actually places him in first place compared to the other heat as well that you're watching him right now, the highlight and the slow motion.
Unbroken on every set of thrusters, and he maintained a very consistent, very strong pace on the run.
I love the look around. It's like, look left, look right. I'm done.
I'm done. I'm done. Get me out of hell. Much like we saw with Joana Boaventura in the first heat for the women, heat leaders almost chill.
Estou pronto.
We're going to Fábio
Estamos ao
Broco.
vivo? Benja, en el liderazgo ahora para empezar el sábado, ¿cómo te sientes ahora en el liderazgo?
La verdad es que sorprendido, no esperé que iba a estar arriba después de este evento, pero contento, se notó todo el trabajo que estaba haciendo la temporada, el gordito estuvo corriendo, así que se hizo el trabajo acá.
Y estuviste acá el año pasado, entonces es una prueba de repetición. ¿Cómo te sentiste cuando Copa Sur anunció que lo volverías a hacer?
Bueno, cuando vi el WOD nuevamente, dije no me va a ir tan bien con respecto al año pasado, pero los thrusters y bueno, la corrida este año han sido mi habilidad y mi fortaleza, así que venía un poco seguro, pero no con la expectativa de haberlo ganado, sino que un top 5 y nada, todo se dio perfecto.
Perfeito, el liderazgo. É isso aí, vamos então encerrar aqui, volto com vocês.
I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work, cause my boss is a jerk, and I'm not even that paid. I need a change in my life, cause I don't feel...
There is a strength that doesn't shout. It moves without forcing, embraces without resistance. It reaches the lowest places, yet carries the power to sustain life. It overflows, but never loses its source. Sky Hill, enjoy the process.
And we're back here at the 2025 Copa SUR CrossFit semifinals in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. You just watched the last heat of the last event of the day. To start off this event with a time cap of 30 minutes to get everybody warmed up, including the announcers and commentators. It was a great first day. We had great performances by 4 athletes. We didn't have photo finishes for that first place, but we did have competition for the second and third places, Kelly.
We did, and it was very interesting to see how athletes tackled this first event. Again, this is a very long workout. It's definitely a warm-up for the weekend, considering this is the only event individual athletes have for day 1. Tomorrow they have 2 events including a couple sprints. And on Sunday, we have 3 very challenging, very spicy events ahead. But even though we didn't have photo finishes today, we had some very impressive leads, something that we did not see last year. So it's been interesting to see the switch up.
Absolutely. Very impressive leads by Joana Boaventura, Maria Quintero, and then Juninho and Benja Gutierrez. Again, this was the first day of the CrossFit Copa Sur. Thank you very much for watching. We will catch you tomorrow. You watched the English broadcast. This is Lucas Olivieri, joined by Kelly Z, with the knowledge, Fabio Brocco and Paul Klein interviewing the athletes on the floor. We will see you tomorrow.
Thank you so much for joining us. Tune in tomorrow and Sunday for more Copa Sur 2025.